a woman's not a believer and they aren't a good husband, and I don't mean they're just a reprobate. They beat you, they treat you bad. You know what I mean? People today, though, they're looking for any reason to get a divorce. Well, we're just incompatible. You're probably incompatible with everybody. So just stay with them and keep us all out of misery. Because once you're out of that relationship, we're going to all have to deal with you. So just suck it up and get it right, man. Incompatible. Like Joyce Meyer said, there's only two types of people I can't get along with. Those are just like me and those are like me. Amen. I'm being facetious. You understand that. But the point of it is, I think this is one of the byproducts of the lack of this natural love that's supposed to be present in the family. Because again, what would we say would describe this type of love? Devotion. It's till death you do part. When my wife and I'll just share this with you, and this is not bragging on us, it's by the Spirit of God. And I'm telling you, since we've been married, my wife will certainly attest, we've had some knockdown, drag-out, humdinger fights. And some of you have been around when we've had some of those. I mean, what you see with us is pretty much what you get. We don't always sometimes we shouldn't fight in front of the kids, honey, but we've had some big fights in our life. But, when we got married, we actually said this to each other. We will not use the word divorce. Divorce is not an option. So I got to be careful of the life insurance policies I take out because death could be an option. At times. No, I'm just kidding. But we have a good, strong marriage, and one of the reasons we have a strong marriage is because we made that covenant with one another. So there's no out for us. We don't get along, so let's get a divorce. It's you suck it up and you get it right. And in our relationship, there again, we're just people, and we have carnality just like everybody else, and we have big fights at times, and we have disagreements. As we've been married longer, we've been married over 30 years now, it gets like you're married to yourself after a while, so you don't, you know what I mean. My wife is directly linked into my brain and knows everything I think, and yeah. One of our biggest issues is I always think I tell her everything, and I tell her nothing. So if you ever come to my wife and you say, because this has happened to her numerous times, it says, well, what about this? And she says, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, you can look at me because I forget. All preachers have this disease. It's a dysfunction. It's called preacher dyslexia, where they don't tell their wives all the things that they plan. So, and it's true to almost every preacher I've ever met, and their wives, you talk to them all, they're all the same. There's like, I have no idea that he planned that because he didn't tell me. Now, any of you women got that same problem with your husbands? Just preachers, apparently. So anyhow, so the point is that we have a commitment, a devotion to one another, and that devotion keeps our marriage strong because it gives you security. When you have security in a relationship, everything else will fall in line as well. The next kind of love is the love phileo, and this doesn't mean to phileo a fish. You have to explain that in northern Wisconsin because you have lots of rednecks here, so they don't know the difference. Amen. Phileo, this word describes affection such as an affection between a man and a woman or between two close friends. And we derive a numerous group of English words from this word. The word Philadelphia comes from a compound of phileo, which means love, and adelpheo, which means brother. And you combine the two, we get Philadelphia, or Philadelphia, which means city of brotherly love, or brotherly love, the city of Philadelphia, and one of the churches of Philadelphia. The other word we get is the word philanthropy, which is a compound of phileo and anthrophia, which means mankind, and you put them together, and they mean one who is kind to mankind. So a philanthropist is somebody who does good deeds for people. Amen? So the other word is philosophy, one of the words we get from this, in this compound of phileo and sophos, and the word sophos or sophos is the word wisdom or a love of wisdom. You can see where Paul, in the idea of philosophy, he spoke with the philosophers at Mars Hill in Athens, or those who loved wisdom, because the idea behind philosophy, as Paul confronted this constantly in his writings, especially to the church at Corinth, he talked about the difference between the love of godly wisdom and human wisdom, because the philosophers are into human wisdom. And Paul said, God will make sure to it that man in his own human wisdom or man's wisdom will never find God. In other words, philosophy will never get people to God. And God will make sure it won't. C.S. Lewis was a philosopher, and he finally came to the conclusion that philosophy is basically a dead-end street. And I like philosophy. It's very interesting. It makes you think a lot of interesting thoughts. But ultimately, philosophy never comes to a complete conclusion. There's no absolutes in the study of philosophy. It's just a study of wisdom. And finally, the final Greek word that is the most common word used in the New Testament is the word agape. And this word is used by the New Testament writers to describe the love that God has for a believer or the world, anyone, and the love that we as God's people are to have for him. It is such a deep, affectionate love. It is a love that describes, it is an emotional love. It is not a passive type of love. It is a love that goes beyond reciprocation. In other words, it is a love that has a commitment, because really, when we talk about love, when we're talking about love, one of the things Americans have no concept of today is love. People don't know what love is. Remember the old song by the Righteous Brothers, and I think it was redone by Hall & Oates, I lost that love and feeling. Ooh, that love and feeling. Remember a song by Barry Manilow, Doctor, my woman, she's coming back home late today, and you got to give me something because the feeling is gone, and I got to get it back right today. You know, this is what people think. Love is a feeling. I feel in love with you. I feel. So people think that love is all on their feelings. Love has nothing to do with your feelings. Love is a commitment. The other kind of love, eros, is a feeling kind of love. The other types of love can have feeling, but the love of God, agape, that this word uses, is not based on a feeling. It's based upon a commitment. I love you because I'm committed to you. Means if you act a certain way, like we watched this clip this morning about forgiveness, the only way you can forgive people is not by your feelings. You have to forgive them because you're committed to forgiving them. You make a decision to forgive. You make a choice to forgive. You may say, I don't feel like forgiving you. I don't even think you deserve to be forgiven, but I'm going to forgive you anyhow. And the feelings will come once you make that decision. If you're waiting around for feelings, you're going to be waiting a long time. And this is why marriages die on the vine, is because people lose the feeling of love. This is why relationships that are based upon premarital, relationships before they're married. This is why it is such a bad thing, because what happens once they get married, that's going to wear out real quickly. I always tell people this when they get married. There's three things that basically you need in a marriage. Number one, you need friendship. You need to be devoted to your friend. Your wife is your friend. I just don't get guys when they say, well, I don't like hanging out with my wife. Then something's wrong with you. I like hanging out with my wife. She's my favorite person. We enjoy being together. I always hear people say, well, you get divorced, you retired, then we were telling somebody yesterday, you retire, you know what you get half the money and twice the husband. Means always around. We don't want him around all the time. Well, that might be true, but I like being with my wife. We have a lot in common, and we enjoy a lot of the same things. Now, you may not be in that boat. Maybe you married somebody and you don't have a lot in common, but you can find things in common. Make some things in common. Find some new things that you have in common. And that takes both people. We don't like everything the same, but we do like a lot of stuff, and my wife is my best friend, and we enjoy spending time together, and we enjoy being together. We really do. So, first of all, you got to have that in a relationship. You got to have a friendship. Secondly, because we say three things. She's my wife, she's my lover, and she's my friend. So you need a friendship. And then you have the relationship that involves marriage, that you're married. Now, in my estimation, that relationship has to do with taking care of your kids, keeping a home, just day-to-day living, because you're joined together. That means everything I deal with, she deals with. Everything she deals with, I deal with. We're one. If I do something that involves her, if she does something that involves me, we're one. You can't go out and do something independently of your spouse and go, well, this has no effect on you. Everything has an effect on you. And men really need to get this. I didn't intend this to be a marriage seminar this morning, but since we're on the topic, men really need to get this because men live in compartmentalized parts of their brain. They go through one door, they close the other door behind them. Hey, honey, I don't know what you're all upset about because I left that at work today. You know, men live in compartments. Women live in a big room. And oh boy, that's a hard thing for men because when the big room is not where it should be, everything's bad. So men, if your love life is suffering, you better clean out that big room. I'll tell you that much. You get what I'm saying, because if it's going to affect everything. See, men, they can walk through one door. They could have had just the worst fight in their life, walk through the one door, and we're in the bedroom door now. What's the problem? I don't see any problem. You know? And that's the way men think. I don't get it. What are you so upset about? We left that back in that door. Well, you may have left it in that door, but it's like the elephant in the room right now. Like in your bed with you. You know, you got Dumbo in bed with you. And it isn't no very romantic, is it? Amen. So you're going to have to clean out that room before the bedroom door opens again, boys. So the point is that's your relationship with your wife. And then, of course, there is the romance issue, and that has to do with the icing on the cake. You have to have romance, and romance is more than being in a bedroom. Romance is more than sex. Romance is the gestures that you show your spouse that you love them. My love language, I have two love languages. My love language is touch and affirmation. Now, women, if you want to make a man into a man, you better learn how to affirm him. Men get a kick. Men love being bragged on. And my wife is very good at it. She'll say, I'm very proud of you. She'll say, I'm really happy I'm married to you. Now, if you've got a husband say, you dirty dog, I wish to God I'd not married you. My mama was right. You're a nobody. You're a worthless piece of dirt. You tell your husband that, you say stuff like that to your husband, you're going to have a good old boy in your hands. He's never going to amount to nothing, and you're going to be his mama. Do you want that? You want to be married to your little boy? Do you mama around and tell him what to do and command him to do this, and he never does anything? Well, he'll act that way. If you want your man to be a man, you're going to have to affirm him. You're going to have to tell him, you know, I'm really proud of you. I appreciate what you do. Now you say, well, my husband doesn't do that to me. Well, you know, he will if you coach him a little bit. Men are kind of slow starters, women. So the point is, you got to affirm one another. And men, this is the deal with men, because that's the thing with women. Men, this is your deal. Men, you better learn how to be romantic. Men can tie a tie. I mean, I don't fish a lot. I like to fish, but I mean, tying a hook on a worm, bait, tying a thing. It's like I'm all thumbs. I hate baiting. I hate tying hooks because it takes me forever. They ought to make an automatic hook tire. Put that baby there, it's tied. I hate doing that stuff. You know, it broke my line. Okay, I got to put another. I take 4 poles with me fishing, so I don't have to change the bait on them. You know. Snap-ons are the best thing ever invented. You know, those little clips they put on. But some guys are really good at that. I mean, they can name all the parts of the tackle box. They say this little diddly bug over here does this, and this one does this, and this is a shallow water, and this is a deep water, and you fish for this kind of fish this way. I mean, they are experts at that stuff. They couldn't tell you a thing about a woman. It's like the Norwegian Book of Knowledge of Women. You open it up, it's just blank. So anyhow, men, you got to learn how to be romantic to your wife. That means you do nice things for her, bring her flowers, bring her candy, do nice things, write her love notes, the things you used to do before you bagged that woman, amen, and hung her on the wall as a trophy. That's what men have to do. And men